On the day Olu was buried in Canada, two women arrived to mourn him, but only one of them could stand beside the coffin. The other woman stayed hidden inside a parked car nearby, crying quietly with a little boy who kept asking one painful question: "Why can't we go meet Daddy?" What nobody at that funeral knew was that the child watching from a distance was actually Olu's son. And the woman hiding in that car, she was his real wife. My people, when I first heard this story, I honestly had to sit quietly for some minutes because this is not just an immigration story anymore. This is a story about survival, secrets, double lives, and the emotional pressure many immigrants abroad are carrying silently. Because before Olu died suddenly in Canada, he was secretly living between two different families, two homes, two women, one dangerous secret. And what happened after his death left everybody shocked. But the most painful part of this entire story is not even how he died. It's what that little boy experienced on the day of his father's burial. Stay with me carefully till the end, because this story exposes a hidden reality many people abroad will never say publicly. The boy at the funeral. A hidden immigration story that left a child mourning from a distance. On a cold day in Canada, people gathered quietly around a coffin. Church members stood in black coats. Friends wiped tears from their faces. Prayers floated through the cemetery air as a man named Olu was laid to rest. But far away from the crowd, inside a parked car, sat a little boy staring silently at the burial. Nobody there knew the truth. Nobody knew that the child watching from a distance was actually Olu's son. And nobody knew that the crying woman beside him was not just another mourner. She was Olu's real wife. This is not just another immigration story. It is a story about survival, secrecy, emotional pressure, and the silent sacrifices many immigrants carry abroad while pretending everything is fine. Years earlier, Olu had left Nigeria for Canada with his wife, Tomiwa, hoping to build a better future. Like many immigrants, they arrived with dreams bigger than their bank accounts. But reality hit quickly. Bills piled up. Stable jobs were hard to find. Stress entered the marriage almost immediately. The glamorous abroad life people celebrate online looked completely different behind closed doors. Eventually, Olu made a painful decision. He sent Tomiwa and their young son back to Nigeria temporarily. "Go home first," he reportedly told her. "Let me handle this suffering alone." For Tomiwa, it was heartbreaking, but she agreed, believing the separation was only temporary. What neither of them knew was that survival in Canada would soon push Olu into a dangerous double life. As time passed, Olu allegedly discovered what many struggling immigrants quietly learn: immigration systems can reward survival strategies that come with emotional consequences. According to the account shared by a close church friend, Olu eventually entered into a paper marriage with an older Canadian woman. It was not love, it was survival. The arrangement helped him stabilize his immigration status, secure work opportunities, and finally gain some breathing room financially. From the outside, his life began to look successful. His documents were sorted. He worked constantly. He appeared settled. But privately, another life was unfolding. Once he became more stable, Olu secretly brought Tomiwa and their son back to Canada. Everything had to remain hidden. Tomiwa reportedly entered the refugee process independently, carefully avoiding any public connection to Olu because his legal marriage to the Canadian woman complicated everything. Even people in church had no idea. To the public, Olu was simply a hardworking Nigerian immigrant married to a Canadian woman. But behind the scenes, he was splitting himself between two households. Every few weeks, he secretly visited Tomiwa and their son. Sometimes he claimed he was working night shifts. Other times he said he was traveling for work. Meanwhile, Tomiwa lived quietly in refugee accommodation, raising their child in secrecy while waiting for her own immigration future to become secure. Despite everything, she still loved him deeply. And then life became even more complicated. She became pregnant again, a man crushed between two worlds. That second pregnancy reportedly intensified the pressure already consuming Olu. 2 homes, 2 women, immigration risks, financial bonds, endless work shifts. The church friend who shared the story said Olu eventually picked up another job just to keep both worlds afloat. But while trying to support everyone else, his own body was breaking down. He was surviving physically. Emotionally, however, he was collapsing. Then tragedy struck. One day, Olu reportedly collapsed unexpectedly at work and died suddenly. No warning, no goodbye. Just like that, the man holding 2 separate lives together was gone, and immediately, the secrecy he built created chaos. The funeral no one could fully attend. Publicly, everyone recognized only one woman as Olu's partner, the Canadian wife. Tomiwa remained invisible. Many relatives in Nigeria still did not know the complete truth. As funeral arrangements began, Tomiwa faced an impossible decision. Should she attend publicly and risk exposing everything? Or should she stay hidden to protect her refugee process and her children's future? The emotional weight of that decision became unbearable. How do you explain to a child that his father is being buried nearby, yet he cannot openly stand beside the coffin? How do you mourn your husband while another woman publicly receives condolences? How do you tell an unborn child that their father died carrying secrets too heavy for one man to survive? The boy watching from the car. On the day of the burial, Tomiwa reportedly stayed inside a parked car near the cemetery with her son, hidden, watching quietly from a distance. The little boy reportedly kept asking questions softly while his mother cried beside him. She could not step outside. She could not openly say, "That is my husband," and the child could not openly cry for his father. That image haunted the church friend who shared the story, because in that moment, he realized something painful. Sometimes people survive immigration physically while emotionally falling apart in silence. The hidden emotional cost of survival. Stories like Olu's rarely appear on social media. People post pictures of new apartments, winter jackets, work promotions, and smiling family photos abroad. But many immigrants quietly carry enormous emotional pressure behind those images. Some live double lives to survive broken systems. Some hide relationships for immigration reasons. Some work themselves into exhaustion trying to support families across continents. And often, children become the silent victims of adult survival decisions. This story is not simply about blame. It is about the emotional cost of desperation. It is about what happens when survival forces people to divide themselves into versions that cannot coexist forever. And perhaps the most painful part is this. Olu may have achieved the immigration stability he desperately wanted, but in the process, he built a life too fragile to sustain. A question that has no easy answer. If you were in Tomiwa's position, what would you have done? Would you attend the funeral publicly and risk exposing everything? Or would you remain hidden to protect your future and your children? And do you blame Olu for trying to survive a harsh immigration reality? Or do you believe he created a dangerous situation that eventually destroyed him emotionally? Sometimes the hardest stories are the ones without clear villains, only human beings trying to survive. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.